Oday an a hich de cat Johan. Atling gan cheese yak a tea. Ach tu yak a ḳunahéin wuchin chasati. Naski ge ko a wush kanach gach tu daat. Jadu sa du tuasagu. A ko a klesh yat a yach. Ya chancellor du tuasagu. Ya ku a ya kuch a gach tu woos. Gwashdana has du tuasagu ke hasa kawakiki. Haji yes yet the cutway. Shingit de kina katsutskan yuk atangi awesh to dil tu a. Ha wait atsu ya at kachaku ha at yahai kashahidi. Ye awe kasne daak. Ye awe ha at was kuku yag. Ha a day ku shudul adi ye awe aktuasagu yet the cut at aya. Kegurtletsini. Gwalgiwe gwati hitu a dachoach de katuhan. Gwal jen ka tag shu hichen yada we eat ka ku shasha ki ku tachas de tuasagu has awash ku gu aya hayu katangi. Gwal just kejininach kleidushunach Jayiku genki ayak eti kashasha wudaha wega. Ya idet koa hasha yedehin. Tachonachoyach tuyek e. Wasach tuasagu keuchne kachoinak. Yat oe hasawas tini. Gwashiwe hain chasati ya idet koa. Ya atchogud tatge nistat. Ya ach keitli tin. Kaltush e keit. Ya gitsu awacha. Chak tai ako gwara you do a sago at awacha katlitsini at ko carry gold you do a sago at katlach toash go cake awacha ausakutsu kashushka tatge ko at hogud nastat kalkubush goose jayeko genk kusi at oh how ye ko watch it takatalach to a sagoyecha o ya that ko gwal Yádi táakwde yékakwau. Aga gwal kinnig adi gwal kakin kudats. Ajawe yich achwawus gwal dagun Wooch itchiuch atangi kakki shahid. Yad adan yes aya táakwde ya ḳunahéin. Táakwde ya ḳunahéin. Agawe yid koha ach tuasagu achi dasa kayi shahid. Dasa daat away, daat away. You kagachti saat táakwde táakwde ya ḳunahéin. Yid koha a do sakshawe we shukwa ai. Tashachtwashku yitakawde ja. Like yitakawde ja yi. Is it okay? Oh, takawde ya. Kesh achtua ushka yitakawde ya yi. Chat kakakwashi.
Aka akwain. Oh, sorry.
We get cool,
But sigan klinget kaka akwahin or akwain. Klinget kaka at cook sa sorry. ḵunahéin. Ḵunahéin. Wasa idu asak butter that's not fat, like shinket chacha. Butter, but it's not like
Chak tayi away butter guada.
Oh, okay. Shaka talk nies kaken kudas kakakwasane. Wooch for now.
Oh, good cheese. Yake.
Cook tuwu akashahit Angela Lunda. Ku atlatu chushwu kuwu Yádi. Her doctoral dissertation. Daat ugu. Askutu gugu itanet Yádi itanak yati yatki tla kaish kulatu lakat idiyahas nadashin. Nooch.
Oh. Okay. Good cheese. Khatserch tuasagu khasatini.
Hataya. Tahu ya ḵunahéin ke guchsaat siudak guchsatan kakin keudas kakinaat ye kukwau hoos iti yak ushyai Juan Kayis Hukau Atchel Yanach Ye Hat Ruch Shach I Hitka Ye Dachane Wooch.
Okay. Good cheese. Okay.
Khataya.
Good cheese.
Tuwasugu tleuk ʼadudli.átk tleuk kanat jiwu klech wask on tlegu ach G ach tuasigu was on tlegu how tlech askutu yik we tleuk tlech askutu yik we was on tlegu how Shada kawu we was on plegu ach tuasigu kachwech how klechwasiku adusa kachwech dujiwu
Khataya.
yak gunstish
Kecha, cheese.
What? Yeah, kuna daat at kudziti kunach. Just kayak dis konach a klein ye jituné ye jituné. Yádi ach tai a kachwaha. We kunz ye kuchwaha. Yisatinge. Wait, late ka kunzi. Pontiac, you do a sock. Ye kuge. We kunzi clean. Yeah, slinget kunzi koa. Just booty. Just jaw you gugang. Monarchs away. Masa at une. Just pasaku. Just
Utski.
Wooch, I guess.
Ach tuasigu yusatini yada. Guksa. Kach ayanach ka kugeya kunz. Yada. Ye natich lingit kunzi koa. Kesh ye kuge ataya. Asaya kesh lege.
Ye hwajitsu.
Chagudach ay klach chagudach. Wooch has wooch the seken. Wooch the seken ye has ausnähen. Chag.
Yeah, shuk anach gau we kunz. I grew them.
Cherkachwahayajin.
Gulchish.
Okay.
ḵunahéin.
Oh, okay.
Yes, kagu. Dachun at ach tuati yes da. Yes chits a ach kakain kudas nach hogwati ach tu sigu ach kakain kudas I shayadihain. Táakwde ya ḥunahéin shayach yánde ye gach ntusanéin. Tlech ke gach dis ka cuts kach ayanaha ye ʼtusanéin. Wooch.
Okay, ha. Cheese.
Yidata ach itkuaha. Yatke ḳunahéin. Tatke sukani chachas. Yádi ḥunahéin Yádi dagen. Yakana sude ʻadudli ʻátk hidik.
Okay, cheese. Ujaga. Sukka.
Kateach Wantlein.
Cheese.
Ik echana ach skoonwant. Khwaji ach tuwasi gowe. Akananikwe. Zits atlun atgawu aya we. Dis Yádi jin kat kakejin. Nach displain jin katka kajin yagi yawachi we atlun kajin yagi we Zarembo Island hesh wasatin we zit clash we hesh shakuntsu what yeah we Gokan Shaw what Tatwasaka Gokan Shaw what we just like hesh Gokan what Khatin what yeah Dachadusha like Dachadusha Gokan Yádi Hell claw hell mothers kasayeye atwe hell those tiesa like disk ishan khat akhukh khat
Ishan.
Goodness chesh.
Cheese.
Ataya talk kukauji get kukashki tech kwa at achjiwa is achkausgan sina achjiwa es ach kwatich ya at ach yek kwaticha gutginsa uchzika Yuhan kua uyudzikage
One kanizia khatta teach.
Let's cheese.
Okay.
Gonna cheese táakwde ख़unahéin táak away you Wooch guana ʼadudli.átk yan cadúslagéigean. Cua chúcléach táac níos ach on auk a llúni Woochtin. Ntusanéin cua déislahín quansú. Yádi yes yéchat Woochi. A llún watua art. Awúge whitefish sú cos a géiri chuideach. Clachega stúga chatatí cút Yádi awe hot cú chwatin. Cachwa aug yan ḥunahéin or yan cachwa aug yan ḥunahéin táakwde. Woocha.
Okay. Sheesh. Gwalli ani deqaq tiin zis ach tutlunit. Khatqa achtua sa gugwal gaudan katwachwan qoa. Khatgach lashat ye khatgach lashat. Qais hiti deqqa good. Kinjitwan ani kak. Ja, ik was kat taïr away. Has our tea we England on klaar. Ja, we ja ik hier wat die. Jidana kachake Jesu do je hai. England on klaar. Was like. Ik was a Tukka? Oh.
Don, we done
Wait a her.
on claw away.
Echochian. Oh, wait, that's okay. We good. The cut at the kakake. Saye ye wuti. Slikat ye pusti ginjitwan anika. Uhansu, we washed on Kwan. Jakat katut aya. Keo du yish. We on kwe. Sayesu yat ayachiti. Khatka. Kekake? Kekake? Gus klesa atin echaati. Yewe echwaji. Klesach an klach usti. Klesach toash gut a gut kuwa. Hast du tuwu kachwakets a joe. Klesta sadat yuk achwatan. Yadu a de kachshakiti. Jury duty kach. Kedushu. Gau anachaya akechat wutia. Yewe Khachakawa ja. Kashuk adi. Ili. Hakak. Ach yetkiach. Telkeshke. Kachshakit kwa. Táakwde ya ḥunahéin. Qane kukas artich. Shukwa kahwan itach ayanach ke gaslanuk like ayanach gaslanukch we kahwech hatsikshatlin. Yes away adayan chas age ya ach shkadat adi. Akawan kanins kancha achch. Ḥunahéin. Wooch de seich en yeochsané. Kutjejechané. Kess an katcha good. Kess katki katcha good. Kutan ka yesk ach yagu. Yen yenach sanage. An katlunet. Ach een ag oe. hatuasagu Wooch in atyaw tukhei. Táakwde ya ḳunahéin táakwde ḳuachach ya ʼqután adi táakwde ye ntusanéin ya táakwde adi. Ye awe ya atlain atsu kusuk adi ya yatki ai. Qane aya ya kuchte kukwatachak dak kukwatachak. Ye awe ye khwaji dak ye yisane dak ye yisane. Kwal kuk tude. Ya stakatastu ai tsu an aya ashkulyati at glade kuk. Achtuasagu qane awe aqaqashi khata jaji dasakshawe ajiyeti. Ye awe kwal kalkadain aya yautu dlaq khat qat ye awe khwa achtsu kakhwan ish khidh udzakai qat tak qwaslaq ishan khat jayka genki aqwa haat khai achjiwu yakutan khakli awe asa watu dats aga watu dats khat ak isikuge ade awe we khakli aqa awe kal jaguta kheq yakh wan qanin siata yakhawe wudu in ya katat zayeta kate ko awe khakli kanat aqwa talkadin yautu wadlaq kwal ya sandiq akshuwi ko hayagu yektaya atgahtu qoq yewe akhtu wati gulchi shwe ya yiyu qatangi akhtu yake awa wutu sa akhi ya khana gulchish ya wujinyu qatul atki atu nakhaya ya gahtu tlaq yashtakat yuhan tak ye awe khwa akh khana tkhaya itr Wooch katulniken yewe akhtu wati tsuya idat Woochin shkagahtulnik wan qanin ziat ayakh aqawe des Yádi des klein quqaha des shanach des awak desi tsik desi hintanach khayani desi eqa khayani desi atqatakhitgina desi wasa qone khiltsidin Woochin yuqagahtulaat kallachtwashko itut awe wuhi adad qaqa qwati yohan hachiqayati yuqatangi hachiqayati gulchish how okay, time for reflections and then lessons.
Ne.
Oh, I
De.
owe you an email too. De
Yeste kuawe ya ḳunahéin. Hagwalde táakwde yánde ayu. De yáde de athlete yadlate. AP Johnson tik ish.
Oh, okay. Tik ish. Gulchish. Goksa.
Hune. Wasa kadua thinga inach when like ak ishi at uwachan, but instead of say ach, like instead of she he, they, like I.
Oh, ḥuqan would be ḥuqan.
Ḥuqan.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's one we got to bring back too, because I don't think it's getting like that's where atkan hiti comes from, and atkan ani, and these might be sort of more coastal things, but actually I don't think so. But I don't know either. But so this uwukan verb is to smoke fish specifically, especially like dry fish and strips and stuff, where you're really going to do because it's a different thing, right, than doing meat and stuff like that. So yeah, especially working around a smokehouse. But in other places, it's called tz'eqhiti or tz'eqhit. But that's the reason why it's called atkan hiti, and it's called fish camp is atkan ani, because that verb root on is to smoke and dry salmon specifically, I think. But I still think it's a verb that was probably widely used, but is probably like I heard Cyril use that verb, and then that's when I started looking into it, because he would say atkan ani, and then he'd say hasawukan, and then so yeah, because did you find it in the verb dictionary?
At uachan, yes, but not like in the I tense.
Mm-hmm.
Only in the he she.
And what was it under?
It was under khan, under khan.
It's in
Because I was trying to make the sentence, I'm making dry fish in the smokehouse, and
So we'll take a look at this here. So these are the verb notes by Jeff Lear, and so ʼadudli.átk has also typed these up, and David Strong is going through, and we're going to break it into individual tables so we can alphabetize it and have a version that is typed, that's searchable, and that's also has it's also alphabetized like this one is. So when you look up a verb like this and you see atkan, smoking, so that's like smoking and drying fish, and then you see these two things, ʼkhan. So if ʼkhan is in the process of doing it right now, and ʼawkhan is they did it, well, then there's a couple things that you can sort of pull from this. Is one, you could probably plug in the ut to say, I'm working on fish, right? So you don't have so Tlingit has a bunch of times when you could switch it to the fourth person non-human ut something, and that means I'm just doing the thing, like atchacha, I'm eating, but you're not naming a specific thing. But here, if you said daat, once you've named the fish, now you've got to switch it to third person. So if you say daat awakhan, then you would change awa to khwa, and that's how you'd have I did it. Khwakhan, watuwakhan, iyakhan, yikhan, hasawakhan, and waduwakhan. And that's all the ways you could change the subject, right? And so we will be working. So my plan is to have us have conversations like this and then drill a bunch of concepts. And one of the concepts we're starting with is changing the object, then changing the subject. We're going to do that like a million times. So once we've gone through that, what we're going to do is sort of put it up and have folks take a guess For now, it's sort of, the process is going to be, if you feel like you know the answer, say it. But if you've said a whole bunch of them in a row, maybe pause for a sec and see if someone else wants to get it. As we get further in the semester, it's going to be a little bit more deliberate. We'll go through the list and it'll be your turn to go into a rotation. I won't put anybody on the spot just yet, though. But then I want you to get to the point where once you've looked this up, you'll be able to move it around. So this should be a zero conjugation verb, is what I would expect. So then it also tells you in the future, you don't need anything in front of it. You don't need K or yay. So you would say, on, I'm gonna smoke it. And then you could say, on, you're gonna smoke it. But then ish that's got to be another verb root too. I don't know. Ishi. But maybe it's just sort of like a body part, or maybe that just means smoked fish. So
This
just
will
keep
be a
sending
good
me,
one for us to detail out.
just keep
in the
sending me dry
future.
fish, and I'll figure it out.
Ah,
Oh, and good cheese. Táakwde. That's what I was looking for. I always forget that. Táakwde. I hit it off the branch. So there's another one. So like, I knew it was tots. I knew that was the verb root, right? And so, but going back to this document to just keep practicing how to use it, we're going to go on the left side. We have the alphabetiz, the table of contents. We go to T, and then this is TAEIU. And so you can open T, and then it gets you to just these vowels. So it's going to be one of the TA vowels, and you go down, and then there's tots, to shake berries. Now, the thing with this, for whatever reason, when I use this, whenever I click on something, I usually end up one page ahead of it. So then I end up scrolling back, and then you got ʼadudli.átk is the basket you put under, especially soap berries, but any kind of berry that you hit the branch to get it off. Because for soap berries, that's how you get them off, right? And then you see ʼaklatsk, shaking it off the bushes. And so you'll learn how to do this, but you could say ʼkachlatsk. So it would be kachla. That would be the beginning for it. And then you got a ʼkauchlatutz. So then you'd say ʼkauchlatutz. So like again, figuring out how to look these up, and then you will get to the point where you've got enough information in your mind in terms of how to put the prefixes together to look at these, and especially when I look at the perfective, but these are interesting because it gives us a long and a short version, which then means we've got a little bit more work to do. Because if it's short and high, then it's a 0. And if it's long and low in the perfective, then it's not a 0. But then we don't know what it is. We'd need a little bit more information. So sometimes he does note it, like so up here you see this N, that means it's na conjugation. But here it's not noted. And so there's not a lot that tells us there. There's this NS, which means it's from Nate's story. Then there's a JM, which means it's Jim Marks was consulted on it. But we can go back to tots in the verb dictionary and sometimes do a little bit of back and forth. So we'll go to T. I'm going to scroll up from T apostrophe. So then here's tots, pick berries, usually by shaking the bushes or hitting the bushes, causing the berries to rain into the basket. So again, whatever is underlined, that's what we'll look up in English. So we'll look up pick, and then we'll see what they have, and then sort of do our best guess until we can find a speaker to ask. And the key is to get them to say it if they say it in the perfective in the future, you've probably got it, to be honest, because the perfective will tell you if it's 0 or not, and then the future will tell you if it's ga or qa. or 0 or na. So between those two, you can usually figure it out. Because if it goes short in the perfective, then you know it's a 0. If it goes long in the perfective, then you get the future. And if there's nothing before the verb, if they just say ḳunahéin, tots, then you know that that's na. Because otherwise it'd have k for ga, ye for qa. So if you can get both the perfective and the future, and the way sometimes you ask for it, you say, well, how'd you say I hit him off the branch yesterday? Then how would you say I'm going to hit him off the branch tomorrow? So that's the way you would sort of ask those. And then if you're not sure about what I'm saying, then you can ask a speaker and just report back to here, and we'll figure out, because we're going to go through all that stuff, like, so that you can become a master verb sleuther. And so here we've got ḳunahéin. So the KW is on there again, ḳunahéin. So I do believe the first two examples are imperfectives, and the last one is a perfective. But hold on. There's also two different, okay. There's also two different verbs in here.
Yeah.
How do you know that? Looking at those three examples, you should be able to tell that there's two different verbs being used.
One of them is plus D.
Yeah. Right. And so
Oh,
that
there.
that might tell you. And so let me go back and look at this. And but you don't see it here. You just see a high version and a low long version. Okay. Well, if anybody wants to ask about that one, see what a speaker says, and we'll just go with what they give us. But it could be that there's multiple versions, right? But you shouldn't be able to change the conjugation class unless, okay, there is another option here, is that it's a motion verb. So if it's a motion verb, it can change the conjugation type. Okay.
Cow. Can you say again that little summary when it's short, perfective? It's no or
Yes,
something.
if it's perfective, if you look at like let's go here. Let me find a perfective verb. So here's a perfective verb, to peel the skin off of a creature. So if it says shuwadluch, so this is perfective, and because it's short and high for a closed, that should be 0 conjugation. For a perfective that's closed, so the verb stem ends with a consonant. If it's short and high, it's probably 0, because everything else, na, ga, and qa, are long and low. And so here's an open one. For open ones, that means it ends with a vowel. If the perfective is high, it's 0. Low is everything else. So the perfective can tell you that. And then if you get the future, so if it's 0, then we know. We've got it, right? So if we look at the perfective and it's short and high, we can take a pretty good guess that that's 0 conjugation. That allows us to use the verb in a whole bunch of different ways. Right. If it's long and low, then we try to get them to say it in the future. We try and get a future verb, or we go look it up. If we can look it up and see if there's a perfective in the future of the same verb, you can figure it out. Because if you know, well, it's not 0, so it's got to be na, ga, or qa. For the future, like if you look at this verb, we know that this is ga conjugation because k pops up in front of it. Every future ga must have k in front of it. Every future qa must have ye in front of it, and na doesn't have anything. So that would be phase 2, is looking at a future. Because if they just said goods, right, or whatever, then you know that that's na. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We're going to walk our way back up to that stuff. I know we talked about a bit in the spring, but we're going to take a more dedicated walk towards it. Okay. Back to the lesson at hand.
Nee,
Ah,
Gádaíocht Lantlein. Can I show you something really quick?
ah.
Hold on. Get rid of that. I think it has to be, I would like to share screen and just show you something. All right. Can you see this?
Think it you a tongue.
Yeah. I have to, they want me to learn this. And that's that AP Johnson, that's what I said to you. But yituné, respected person. And that's from Edwards, page 443. Wooching together, we know that. But in these ha to woo ke guchsagu, they will be happy. And I looked it up in Carrie. Do to woo ke guchsagu, he will be happy. It's a song that I have to tell them what it means. And, you know, I can tell them around what it means, but I was wondering, I've been staring at this for half a day now. Ke ha guchlaan, is that they will be kind?
We will be kind. That's what the ha is doing in both of those cases.
Okay, that's what Duffy said.
Hatu ke guchsagu. If you go up to the line above it, well, actually, this for hatu ke guchsagu, ke haguchlaan, ke haguchlitzin, and hatu ke kaguchlage. All of those, the k should be low. It should be long and low.
Well, I was looking at that and I looked through all your stuff and it wasn't making sense. And I get kind of thrown off.
What it is all of these are what we call ga conjugation, which a lot of state verbs are. And because they're ga, the future will always have k in front of it. Low tone, long and low. Ke kwake, it's going to be good. Ke guchlitzin, it's going to get strong. Ke guchlichun, it's going to stink. Ke saguchlagao, dog's going to be loud.
Loud, yeah.
And that one too, ke kaguchlage.
This one, it was hard to find that one, and I found it in ḥunahéin, but it was on a ke kaguchla, something or the other. I couldn't find that in any of the dictionaries, and it's always, I always get bound up on the future.
Is that maybe an underlined G?
I don't know.
Well,
And I don't have that either. I could look at it. It's right here in this song book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful song, and he has guch, ke ka guch, guch. Yeah, it is. Ke ka guch, lage. Ke ka guch, lage. Ke ka guch. It is a, no, he doesn't have it underlined.
Oh, okay. Hatu. I guess it's big, yeah, but
Tall, you could say we will get tall. I don't know. It's for 3rd through 5th grade boys running and
I think
singing.
it's
Yeah.
we will feel pride, but you would have to underline that G. It would seem to match up with the other things that are being said.
That one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so this one was we'll feel pride.
Mm-hmm.
So he has hatuwu ke kaguchlake.
Would be my guess.
I didn't even think of that. Anyway, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah. Gonna chase. Okay, so it will get. I'm just gonna. We are okay. Gonna chase.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Okay, quick review. These are our independent pronouns. They're not linked to anything. They're usually used for gusu, yadu, wedu, or you'd say khatkoa, waekoa, the khataya, right? So, and they all have a tone. They all have high tone in them. They're also the only pronouns that have high tone. We'll go through them kind of fast because we went through them the other day. Khat, uhan, wa'eh, yuhan, huh, ah, has, ka, at. At is you're going to find it all over the place in names. You're also going to find it all over the place in clan names, like Shukach Adi and Qanach Adi and Daklawedi, which comes from Dak El Adi. And Adi is the possessed form of it. You're also going to find it in like Na'at, right? And so there's a whole bunch of things. It's all over the place. It means a thing. Shaki'at. So those are the independent pronouns. They are there. I'll put this sheet up so that we can practice them. We also did these the other day. So these are expressing a relationship, which could be possession, but it could also just mean to have a relationship to it. Keep in mind that all of these are used to link to what in English are called prepositions, but in Tlingit they're called postpositions. So if you want to say above me, achkina. If you want to say around you, ida. If you want to say underneath them all, hastutayi, right? So that's how they work. That's different than English, right? Because English wants that directional word to come first, and then you're going to use what sounds like an object pronoun, right? Me, you, them. So these ones going through kind of quickly, but following the same pattern, right? Ach, ha, I, ye, du, a, hastu, ka, at. Ka means people's. It doesn't mean a man's, but it does get a little confusing because if you use an adjective ka, that does mean male. Ka zisk, a bull moose, as opposed to sheech zisk, a female moose. Okay.
Ḥunahéin,
Technically,
Hastu is there, that's a third person plural. Is
correct.
there an equivalent for a third person plural non-human? Or does that just go to the fourth person?
Not for these. They just go to third person. So like if you want to say this is the moose's place. The katwe zisk hastu ani. So then yeah, there is no plural non-human. There is for a verb though. So keep that in mind.
ḳunahéin,
Ah,
disc, is that like still like ka or ka?
it's low,
It's low?
but it's identical to this in terms of what it looks like and what it sounds like, but it is a different thing.
Okay.
So we do run into those things where that's not just a homonym, but it's also like very similar in terms of like meaning sometimes. Okay, here we go. Object time. Oh, they all got erased. Dang it. We're going to have to fill these ones in. There's no tone on any of them. Only some of them are connected to the verb. The others are written as their own word. So, what is the object for me in a verb? Yeah, oh, khat. Khat. What about us?
Huh?
Ha. Ha. And here's a case where like that's a matchy match, right? Ha ani. Ha yak a. Right? Only one of those is a verb. Second one. And what about you?
E.
E or I? Yeah, oh, this one is connected. That's why it has the hyphen. Don't disconnect the second person object. You all.
Ye.
Ye. Yeah, oh, there's another matchy match. Ye ah ye. It's y'all's thing. Ye yuck eh. Y'all are good. Them singular.
Do?
Not do. That would be the relational one. Yes. For the object, it's a little different. It's a or zero.
Zero.
When is it zero and when is it a?
It's when there's two third persons, the
Yeah.
subject and the object, and otherwise it's zero.
So like think of it like this. It's always zero, unmarked, no sound, unless it's also a third person subject. And that will push it to become a. So that means when it goes third person, you got to remember to add it. And if it changes, you have to remove it. Like when we saw that awakhan, it was there, but if we switch that khwakhan, it goes back to an unmarked thing, which is unusual for speakers of English. A lot of speakers of English, they're uncomfortable saying that. Because instead of saying, I smoked it, you say, I smoked. And the it is just, we just know it's there. It's a mystery. Them all.
Ha.
Hus. It's exactly the same, but you throw a hus on the front. Anything like yay or k goes in front of that hus. Yay husyati. K hus akakqushheat. I know. I shouldn't have said that. Okay. Aka hus. Oh, never mind. Okay, I messed it up. Okay. A fourth person human, someone, or a person, or people.
Huh?
Ka or p. Here's my guideline for this one. It's p unless there's another verb that matches it with k that talks about usually the weather. You could say ʼquyak a for people are good, but I don't recommend it because everyone will think you're talking about the weather. That's the case where you'd say ʼqāyak'e, people are good, which is kind of a blanket statement. I don't think that's always true.
Well, normally when we talk about this, we always, I mean, I guess in most of our examples, we always say "ḳ" when we do the weather. Is there any other real typical examples other than weather for ḳ?
Yeah, there's a bunch of verbs that have it built in there, like to exist, ḳudziti. So you cannot have two of them. So in that
Got
case, qa ḳudziti, people
Mhm.
exist. Ya ḳudzige, intelligent. So you'd say ya qa ḳudzige, people are intelligent. Again, maybe that's not always true, but you could grammatically say it. So yeah, if there's ḳ already built on there, it kicks out to qa. Or if there's a weather verb, and so that like hot and cold doesn't really work because there's different ways to talk about being hot and cold for people. So it's really just like ḥuwake or wasaquwati. So you could say wasaqayati, which is a weird thing to say, but like, how are the people? You could say it. What about something?
At,
At. And there are some verbs where this does create special meaning. If you say at dana, it usually means they're drinking a little something, something. Like if you said at dana, I would think your younger sibling is drinking alcohol. That's what I would assume you're telling me. And so I heard someone use this one time talking about a baby. I was like, oh, okay, I think I know what's going on. I don't think the baby's hitting that kind of bottle. And so just keep that in mind. And then other times, like it'll pop in there and we'll know when to move it or to remove it, right? What about to each other? As an object pronoun.
Whoosh.
Woosh or wooch. Directly before the verb, that means to each other. Not wooching or wooshtin. Those are with each other. Wooch or woosh right before the verb. Woosh ikach will teach each other.
Is there a difference when you would use whoosh versus wooch?
That's a really good question. I think it's whoosh if the next thing starts with a consonant, and it's wooch if the next thing starts with a vowel.
Okay.
That's my suspicion, but I've heard it go the other way too, so I don't know.
Mhm.
So wooch, wooch-e, woosh-tin. And to the self.
sh-
Say it again.
I don't know, sh.
Yes. Chush or shh. So it's most commonly just that sh, right? Shtuchaltu. I'm teaching myself. Shawudanechi. Self-respecting people. Okay. Okay. So these do have names, which you see on the right-hand side, and they do have a code, which you see on the left-hand side. We will sometimes be using both of these. And so if you see some of those, like the idea is to get you to sort of look back at the chart until you have all of these memorized. So there are some tables here to kind of memorize, and that means we have to do a whole bunch of examples, just like this one. So here, a color-coded verb, theme, object is blue, classifier is purple, the stem is brown. In this case, the stem is going to be A, long and high. It's a state verb, and it's going to be in the imperfective, which means it will be a plus I classifier. What's the plus I version of the zero classifier? Can anybody tell me?
Would have to look-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it's going to be K. Those are your two parts.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we got to start moving through the objects. And we're going to go singular first, then plural. 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, 4. So, how do I say I'm good?
ḵunahéin.
Khatyake, right? So on the right-hand side over here, you see how we sort of break it down. So just to sort of demystify what's going on over here, the little equal sign means it's tied to the next thing, right? That's all it means. It means it's tied to the next thing. We write this with the 2 dots over it, and we write the verb root marker. Then underneath it, we show you the code for everything. This is just shorthand for what types of things they are. Khat is me, first person singular object. This is the classifier, 0 group plus I. This is the root. It means good. So, I'm good. How about you're good?
ʼadudli.átk.
Iyak. Right? So what changed here? We go from khat to I. It also attaches. Do not detach the second person singular. They are good. It is good. Singular. Yak, right? There's nothing there. You only have an object. Now the third person is always and forever unmarked. So remember that. But we do show it right here as a 0. We write the 0 just to show like there is something there. Them, third person, object. We don't write third person singular or plural because it pluralizes different. First and second person already have a single and plural version. The third plural, you got to add that hus on the outside. Sneak preview. I just gave you the answer to one of them. We're good.
Hayake.
Hayake. Right? So us, and so that is technically us, and that was technically me, but we're going to say it how we would say it in English, right? But Klinga does use object pronouns for state verbs almost all the time. Y'all are good.
Yake.
Yake. They all are good. There's no do.
Hasyake.
Hasyake. People are good. Kayake. This is the pattern, right? So take a look. There's no big secret, but it is. We're going to use repetition here. We're going to go khat, 0. Then we're going to go ha, yi, hus, ka. That's how it's going to go. On to the next verb. See the object in blue? The classifier is now, the classifier is in purple, but it's an L group classifier now. The verb root is chun. And what does that little X up there mean?
Doesn't change.
It doesn't change. This will always be short and high. No matter how stinky it is, it'll always be short and high. Okay? So it's going to be chun. Again, it's a state verb. It's an imperfective, which means it's in this state right now. Because it has achieved that state, the classifier will be a plus I. So it will be chun. So I am stinky. Or I stink. How's it?
Chatlechan.
Chun.
Lechan.
You stink.
Ilechan.
Chun. They
Shechan.
stink. It stinks. Chun. And it could mean it just has a strong odor. Doesn't always mean smell bad. But if you said it to someone, I don't think they'd take it as a compliment very often. We stink.
Halatan.
Chun.
Shechan.
Y'all stink.
Yichan.
Chun.
Shechan.
They all stink.
Aslechan.
Chun. People stink. Probably looking for
Shechan.
chun. Okay? I got 4 minutes. We've got to do at least 7 more verbs. We'll see.
Suya Yanaka, the plus I rule. So you know you said it's a state verb.
Okay.
And is it because it's ga that it's plus I, or just all state verbs get plus I?
All state verbs that are imperfectives. So what this letter I, what it marks in the classifier, I guess I should, hold on.
We can also just shoot through a bunch more. I don't mean to sit this.
No, it's okay. If you're thinking of it, someone else is probably thinking of it. So that means we should, talk about it.
Yes.
Did someone
Okay.
yes, the chart appeared.
The chart appeared.
Oh.
There.
Okay. Every verb has, at minimum, a classifier and a root. You must have a classifier and root, or else you don't have a verb. But every single verb will have a classifier and a root. So, the classifier. The first thing is it's going to belong to one of 4 groups. Once the verb has a group, it cannot change groups. If it changes groups, it's a different verb. Yake and keshushke are 2 different verbs. They're related, sure. They're related conceptually. They're different verbs. So the thing that it does is it has a group that it belongs to. Generally, 0 is the most common. I guess if we're all inventors of Tlingit, we would say, we need a verb for this. So our first verb would probably be a 0. But then if we needed to, the S and the L share a function, which is sometimes to say, it's not just that way, somebody made it that way. Yake, it's good.
It's good.
Yeshake, you made it good. You improved it. Yanik, sick. Chat yisanik, you gave me a cold. You got me sick. Right, so sometimes it switches to S or L to say somebody did it. We had to change sometimes, like we call it agency or transitivity, but it just says someone made it happen. And then other times it's also a difference between what was that movie where he's like, oh, I'm not gonna say it. Okay.
I sorry, my video is not working. I thought I'd read that the S and the L are also when it's like an object, like it's a transitive verb. Is that also a case where 0 might not have a object?
No, I don't think that's no. But more like there's a couple different things, like for something to happen and then for there to be intention. So sometimes if there's intention, it will change. For example, Ho'ach, I hear it. Atchwasa'ach, I'm listening to it. Those are different things, right? Like, can you hear me and are you listening to me? So I'm saying two different things right there. So sometimes you have hearing and listening. And so for that one, xu'ach, I'm listening, or I hear it. Sorry, I heard it. Xu'ach, I listened to it. Xu'ach, I made the sound. I played an instrument. Right? So that one, those are kind of different things. Right? So one is like I'm tuning in to hear it. The other one is like I'm making the sound myself. The other things that these do is the S group will kick in quite a bit if we need to have some sort of classification system, right? For example, chatin. There's some dog. Kate chatin. I see a dog. I just see a dog. That's all I'm saying. It's like, hey, look, there's a dog. Kate chatin. But if I see my dog, it's chwasatin, because it's a specific thing.
Yes.
So now we gotten specific. If it's your dog and I'm taking care of it, ikechi chasatin. I'm watching it. So there's a case where you've got general, specific, agency. Right? And so there's a kind of a lot to it, but we'll see a whole bunch of different examples. Then within the classifier group, you have zero, or you have the default form and plus I. We go plus I for two reasons. One, it happened or it is that way. Two, we're talking about it potentially being that way. That's what plus I does. So every state verb must be plus I because it has to be that way. You got to be good to be good. Yuk-a. You got to be strong to be strong. Chitzin. So that's a conceptually those are just pretty wild things, right? But think it marks whether the verb happened or not with the classifier. The only thing that kind of adds on to that is potentials, and potentials are just big crazy verbs. They're all the like I might do it, I would have done it, I can't do it. All of those are potentials.
ḵunahéin, I loved what you said, and I couldn't write it down fast enough. You said S is categorizing, L is agency, and then so what is zero again?
Zero is just sort of the default.
The
S and L are both sometimes agency. And then the L group also has a function to say it has one of those things. For example, if I had a hat that had Mickey Mouse ears on it, Shaguku ts'ah. It's an eared hat. They built a clan house. It had a big killer whale fin on it. They called it Shagushi Hit. It's a finned house. It means it has one of those things. And you'll see some verbs that do that. Shagoose. The weather has clouds.
Oh.
That's what it does, right? The SH one is a little bit more mysterious. It seems to be things that are not necessarily desirable. There's way fewer of these verbs than anything. I think it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of the number of verbs that have that thing. And we'll get to plus D some other time. But that's when we talk about this thing changing and we talk about plus I, plus I. So I think we'd say this is it. This is the default form. 0, sa, sha, sha. If you need to remember those, it's weird. I think, well, it's neat. Sha is a neck, sha is a head, and sa is the base of the neck right here.
Right.
And then someone pointed that out, and they said, well, what's the 0? And I was like, off with your head. Like, I don't know. Or maybe it's above the head. I don't know. But it is interesting how they do correspond, or there's these body parts that happen to sound.
Yeah.
Right? So if you need to go, you can go sa, sha, sha, 0. I don't know. But the I is an addition. It's like a switch. Turn that switch on because the verb happened. And that's what the I marks. Yuk-a. Satin, I see you. It happened. So if it happened, You must go plus I. So all state imperfectives are plus I. And all perfectives are plus I. And potentials. And that's it. That's all. Those are the only ones that are plus I. To say it did happen, it became that way, it is that way right now, or any sort of potential. And the potentials are just strange. So now you understand why it's kusha-chun.
Chun.
So we'll see what happens Wednesday's a little bit. Okay, here's what I think you should do. So the beginning Tlingit workbook is going to print. Finally.
Yeah.
It's got a new name and everything. Tlingit ḥunahéin shtutushtu. And I think they're giving us I think I can get you all free copies, but I'll see. I'm trying to convince them it's a really good idea. But there's these two chapters. Chapter 7a. Chapter 7 is wasa'iyati. Chapter 8 is wasaqhuanuk. We're going to do every verb in those chapters. Every single verb. We're going to add, and you could look in here to get a basics, but check them out. And the goal is that you should learn every single verb that's in here. This should be in your vocabulary, ready to go. Stinky, slow, good, strong, all these things, ready to go. And then we're going to get to action verbs, and we'll talk about these verbs a little bit. I don't think we'll have time on Wednesday. Please come if you can. So for those of you who didn't catch it earlier, Wednesday we're having a fundraising event in the carving studio, which I think is Sobolov 102, maybe. So in ḳunahéin studio. And we have the Chancellor's Circle. So the Chancellor's Circle is folks who have already, in the past, have donated significant amounts to the university. We're going to try and encourage them to donate to our language program so we can keep building it and keep getting you guys free books. These are, they're not free. Say Alaska Heritage Institute gets grants and then they buy them. But I'm like, hey, get books for the people. And Douglas Indian Association might get us all dictionaries and hausanechayuchatangi. So stay tuned, working on that. But take a look at these two chapters over the next week. And when we come back next week, I guess the other thing we need is a theme for conversations. Any ideas?
Can always use more weather.
Spoon.
Spoon.
Mm-hmm.
How
ḳunahéin.
Oh yeah.
ḳunahéin.
Maybe from that wasaqhuanuk chapter, make a string together like 4 sentences using 4 different verbs that are already given to you in there. And I will say, like, the verbs that are in there, they all have the object removed, and we'll talk about that, what that means next week. But that means, sweeping, cutting, so that it's not to it. And let me put a updated. Let me put a link to the book in the chat. Hold on. Okay. Link is in the chats. Anything else before we sign off?
What time again for Wednesday?
Starts at the time. I think it's at 5. Yeah, it goes 5 until 6:30. And we're supposed to be entertaining and exciting and welcoming. So I need help. I don't know. I guess I could be those things, but ḳaħtín is going to do some stuff. Hopefully Ida. Maybe Abel, Ryan. We'll see. Get people drawing, coloring. Maybe making wood chips. I don't want anybody to cut themselves, but we'll give them. Keep your knife sharp. You tend to not cut yourself as much. Okay. Atling gonna cheese to cut you on. Ḳunahéin a day jituné the cheese you get. Wooch. Back to the verb.
Sheesh.
Echana.
Yake.
No, you can.
Sheesh. Yagan.
ḳunahéin, I had a question about for Wednesday. With what you'd asked about for showing parts of the film. Like, would you just want to show like clips? Or do you want like the whole thing? What do you